Little kids, believe it or not, open us up in prayer. Father God, thank you this morning. Thank you so much for your love and your grace, God. God, please be with me this morning as I speak. Be with words that I say, help them to be your words and not my words. Help them to be your thoughts and not my thoughts, God. God, the amount of preparation that was put into this sermon, God, I pray that you will show yourself through this. That you will show people who you are through the words that are said this morning. Most importantly, through your word, which you've given us. God, be with people here as they listen. Help them to be able to listen. And most importantly, help them to be able to apply it to their lives. God, help us to be doers of the word and not just hearers only. Thank you so much for this great country that you've given us to live in and this time of freedom that we have celebrated, God. It's a reminder of how blessed that we are, God, as a nation. And God, I pray that you will continue to be with this nation. That you will continue to watch over this nation. And God, I pray that you will raise people up in this country that will proclaim your word and proclaim your name, no matter what hatred is thrown at them or anything else that's happening, God. God, I pray that you will be known throughout all the nations. And God, be with this time that we come together this morning. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Who do you believe the person of Jesus Christ to be? That's a tough question.
He's the main guy for Christianity, I guess.
He's cool. Jesus Christ.
Who is he to you?
He's just Jesus, man. I don't know. This is a cool guy, man. He's awesome.
A carpenter from 2,000 years ago.
A Jew, definitely, and yeah, he was a reformer, but I don't believe him to be the Messiah at all.
Now, who do you believe Jesus Christ to be?
Ooh, I don't believe in Jesus Christ. I mean, I believe he existed, but I believe that he might have been like a rock star, like, you know, pretty cool. Like maybe people thought he was super cool, but I don't believe in him as like a religious force.
He's a person in history. That's all.
It's a comfy story that probably makes people feel secure.
Who do I believe Jesus Christ to be? Like, what kind of question is that?
Who is he? Is he anything to you at all? What's your thoughts?
He's a religious figure. Yeah, obviously had a good message to send. I don't know if he's not my savior, but he's Christ to be.
I think Jesus Christ pretty much is who you believe yourself to be.
I think Jesus Christ was a magician. I mean, he studied in the Far East, kind of like David Blaine, but like he had way cooler tricks.
He's a dead man who had an enormous impact on the world. Right? Said a lot of wise things, and was a man of his time.
He's like God that you can talk to, I guess. Yeah, God that you can talk to. I mean, when I pray, I just say like God, and I say like thank you, Jesus. But yeah, I figured they're both kind of listening. It's kind of like a conference call.
Who do you believe Jesus Christ to be?
Jesus Christ. I don't know, the Savior?
Guy from history.
Who is Jesus Christ? John McCain is Jesus Christ.
I believe in the historic personage of Jesus, but I don't really buy into the water into wine.
A person, a historical figure, that's it.
To me, he's a guy that I guess he started a thing with some people, and I guess it turned into something he didn't intend, and that sucks. But he meant well.
I think Jesus Christ is everybody. I don't know. I think everyone I think that everyone has a little bit of Jesus in them, or God, or something like that.
No, I believe God, but I don't know who it is. I just think it's someone above us.
Jesus Christ is, I mean, obviously a very important historical figure, but for me, that's kind of where it ends.
He definitely did not die for my sins. Maybe existed. I don't believe that he's gonna save me or any of this sort, but I don't mind that other people believe that.
I don't believe in Jesus Christ. I don't believe there is such a person.
I actually don't know yet. It's just something that I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I believe in and what it really means to me to even have a religion right now.
Does this bother you guys? Because it's a question that I have kind of pondered over for a couple of weeks now. You get onto social media, you get onto things, and you see some different things, and you hear some different things. And one of the things that's happened to me is, you kind of get on social media, and you see some stuff, and you see some people that have, you've led in ministry, and you thought that some things kind of taken place, and then they say some things on social media about Jesus Christ that are not true. And they say some things based off of Jesus Christ, based off of what they feel that Jesus Christ is. And so this is a question that I wanted to pose to you guys, and this is a question that I wanted to look at this morning, is who is Jesus? I want us to think about that. Rusty has already mentioned it, but as I was folding the bulletins this week, normally, guys, I'll just be honest with you, I just fold the bulletins and I just do it as quick as I can. But for whatever reason, this week the back of the bulletin caught my eye, and I stopped to actually read the back of the bulletin. And it was kind of humorous because I did this yesterday and noticed, and I thought, wow, this is exactly what I'm preaching on this morning. And so I think it's no coincidence that that's happened. I'll be honest too. I spent all week kind of struggling about what to preach. What kind of to talk about. Sometimes that happens as a speaker. You kind of get in this mode where you think about stuff, and then you think, well, maybe I'll talk about this, and then you think, okay, well, no, wait, I talked about that. Well, maybe we'll go through these verses. And you think, no, well, I kind of already went through that. And so you get this kind of mode, and you get this kind of rut where you start and you think, so that was where I was at this week. But for whatever reason, this has been kind of impressed in my heart that this is what I need to talk about this week, is who is Jesus? Kind of need to go back to the basics, so to speak. And so that's what I wanted to do this morning, is just kind of go back to the basics with that. Because here's the problem. I know that a lot of you guys, you said that bothered you, what these people were saying on these interviews, and I'll just tell you guys, this is real life, This is the way people think now. And this is some of the comments that are made. And listen, it wouldn't surprise me if some of those people were actually church-going people who made those comments. Let's not for 1 minute mistaken that these people, they don't know church and they don't know all that. I want you to understand that it doesn't mean that they may be church-going people. They may be people who are going to church out of pleasure to the mother and father, to please them, to please their grandparents, so that they show up. But you can see that deep down in the heart of man does not know who Jesus Christ is. And it's a scary, scary thought. And as a pastor, as I get on the internet and I see some things, it breaks my heart. It's not a fact of the matter of all the stuff that's been said and all the stuff that's been done and all the laws that have been passed and all this stuff on the internet. That's not what is bothering me. What is bothering me is a mockery that is being made of my God. And that's what's bothering me. And it's bothering me to the extent that I got to say something about it. And so who is Jesus Christ? And that's something that all of us have to figure out. We all have to understand that. We all have to know it in our heart. And whether or not you like the question or not, it is a very important question that we must figure out who Jesus is. And so this morning, that's what we're going to look at, is who is Jesus Christ. Because at the risk of sounding judgmental in a judgmental world today, in a politically correct world today, the answer is based off of what those people are given. Those people are headed for hell. Amen. And I'm not up here to be judgmental. That's not what I'm doing. God told me I don't judge people. And listen, I don't judge people. But what I do is I read the Word of God, and then according to the Word of God, the things that come out of those people's mouths,
We're not believers.
That's right.
And I want to make this clear. This should bother every one of you in here today.
Amen.
And it should bother every one of you in here to the extent that we stop just talking about it and we start doing something about it. Because that's where we're at with this nation, is a lot of us now are talking about these things and we're not doing nothing about it. Let me rephrase, let me just re-clarify that. Do you realize that people that talk like this, that think like this, are headed to an eternal damnation where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth? And that's something that we don't talk about very much anymore, is hell. But it's a scary, scary thought. And listen, I know that there's not one single person in here who wishes hell upon anybody. Because if you had a firm grasp of what hell is, it scares you to death. And so my question is, fellow Christian, is where's the love, Where's the love that we show these people? Instead of condemning these people and saying, oh, they're idiots, why aren't we telling them the truth? Let them make their own call on that, but make this no mistake. They will not go to hell based on what I have told them, or they will not go to hell based on the fact that I think they're an idiot. Therefore, I'm not going to tell them the truth. It is up to us to tell the truth. And listen, the world today is telling you so many different lies of who Jesus Christ is. You see, here's the thing. The one thing I've noticed, that when this question is posed of who is Jesus Christ, here's one thing that I have noticed. Jesus to me is, and for everybody in the world, it seems like Jesus Christ is this person who is based off of a feeling. It seems like God is just based off of a feeling to people. Here's the question. Here's the things I get. Well, Eric, as a pastor, everybody thinks that, well, I got to go talk religious to him. So some of the things that I'll get is this. Well, Eric, it's hard to believe in a God who sends people to hell. I don't feel that a loving God would do that. I want to be quite honest with you. That's good. You don't feel that, but I can tell you right now, He does. And listen, because He is God, He is higher than me, He knows more than me. His thoughts are not my thoughts, His ways are not my ways. And listen, I don't understand it, and I don't get it, but I know this, whatever He does it for His own glory. That's it, And so listen, I know that the feeling is there, that some of us like to say, I don't like this guy because I don't feel like he's being fair. You know what, quite honestly, the potter doesn't care what the clay says, I've been reading a book, Erasing Hell, and that's one of the things that Francis Chan brought up in this book is, it's absurd to think about this. If you have a mold of clay on a potter's table, and the potter sits there and he makes a sculpture out of that clay, and then the clay turns around and looks up to the potter and says, I don't think you did it good enough. How absurd is that? It's really the same thing we're doing to God now, isn't it? Well, God, you know what? I don't like that you say in the Bible that, you judge people and you send them to hell, because I don't like that, because you're a loving God, and I don't like that. So what we do is we kind of skip over that. Listen, as a pastor, I've done it. I don't like to preach the hard verses sometimes. The ones that say, in Leviticus. Let's don't go to Leviticus. There's a lot of bad stuff that happened in there. A lot of stuff that I don't understand. A lot of people will say nowadays, why did God, why can you stone somebody? And it was okay and all of that. And why does He allow death? And why does He allow cancer? And why does He allow this? Why does He allow that? And I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I don't. But I know this, He's God. And I know this, it's absurd for me, the clay, to look up at the potter and question what he's doing. And so see, so many people are doing this of who Jesus is today. And so many people base Jesus off of this feeling of who they feel like Jesus should be. In fact, here's what I did. If you want to get any kind of knowledge, where do you guys go? To the internet, right? The internet knows everything, right? And so that's what I did this week. I just simply typed in, Googled, who is Jesus? Wow. There were so many hits, because there's so many different opinions of who Jesus is. Here's some of the things that I've got off the internet. Some people say, he's a nice Jewish boy. He was a nice Jewish boy who tried to help the poor and needy. And he told some really great stories, So that's some people's view of Jesus. He's a nice Jewish kid who tried to help some needy people and tried to, tell some cool stories. Some people say that he's one of many, many different ways to heaven, I mean, that's one thing that I believe that I read Oprah says, she doesn't understand how that a God that loves her can only provide one way to heaven. And I have to say, Oprah, he's God. You're right, you don't understand. But he clearly states this in his word, that he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life, and no man enters the kingdom except through him. Well, I don't like that, Eric, because I don't feel that that's right. I don't care what you feel. I go by this. I don't go by feelings. People say, what he is? He's God. He's the Son of Man. There's a lot of views on the internet about that. I got this view of Jesus. It was a recent article that was written in a newspaper that they believed that Jesus was gay, probably gay himself, because he ran around with 12 guys. He probably was a gay person himself. I saw one view of a person who said, Jesus was a child molester and a rapist. I don't know where they got that, but that's what they say, based on Jewish tradition and stuff they say. A lot of people say, he's a lover of all humanity and he's great with all things. A lot of people say, he accepts all things. Some people run around with t-shirts that say, Jesus is my homeboy, And so my question is that no wonder we're confused as a people, no wonder we're confused as a society today, is because we get so many different opinions of who Jesus is from so many different people out there. So many different people. All the descriptions that we get, let me ask you this, how can we really know who Jesus is? How do we really know who he is, Because so many people have told us so many different things. I thought about that, and here's the thing. I want you to think about this. Just for a moment, I want you to pretend like you really want to know who Eric Drake is. What would you do? Naturally, what you would do is, if you really wanted to know who Eric Drake was, you would come to me and ask me, hey, tell me a little bit about you, Eric. You would hang out with me. You would be with me. And then you would find out who I really am, You would find out that I'm not a big-time morning person, But here's the thing. A lot of you may not be able to do that. Let's just say that I've died. And let's say that you say, hey, I wanted to know who Eric Drake was. Who are you going to go to then to find out who Eric Drake was? My guess would be one of the first people that you would go to is Carrie. Somebody who I'm closer with than anybody on the face of this earth. Who knows more about me than anybody on the face of the earth. You could go to Carrie, and then you may go to my parents, you may go to my grandparents, you would probably go to some of my good friends and ask them, because they are people who have spent time with Eric Drake, and they know Eric Drake. See, a lot of you may know Eric Drake based off of a feeling that you got, because a lot of you feel like I'm a pretty good person because I stand up here behind the pulpit every Sunday and preach to you guys. And a lot of you say, I feel like he's a good person. But in order to know the real Eric Drake, you would need to go to somebody who was very, very close to me. If you can't go to me directly. And so that's my thing. That's what I want to do. Because I want to know who Jesus is. I want to really know who he is. And so what do? Yes, I go to him and I ask him to reveal himself to me, and he does so. But I also do this with him. I go to the closest people that were around him. And I go to the people who knew Jesus better than anybody on the face of the earth, They walked with him, they ate with him. You see, to find out more about Jesus, I can't think of anybody better to ask than one of his disciples. Somebody who spent so much time with Jesus. And I can't think of a better disciple to ask than John. John knew Jesus. He knew him, and he knew him well. You see, John's account of Jesus in the book of John, if you've got your Bible, you can open it up there, because that's where we're going to go. in the Gospel of John, John's account of Jesus, it reads like the sweet, sweet memory of an old friend who was writing about something. You see, it's a little bit different than these other Gospels because John sets out this picture of knowing a lot of stuff that happened in Jesus' life. In fact, John has got this name as the beloved disciple, and he's mentioned as the beloved disciple in his own book 5 separate times he's mentioned that way. And John was also, not only was he a disciple, but he was part of this inner circle of disciples. You know, a lot of times we see in the Bible, we see Jesus go away, and we see him even go away from some of his disciples, but it was 3 in particular that he just kind of hung around, and they just kind of always were with him, it seemed like. Peter, James, and John were always with Jesus, and they got to see some stuff with Jesus that the other disciples didn't get to experience. And so, you know, you got this idea of John being at the Lord's Supper, and John's got his head laid on Jesus' shoulder, and you see this closeness that John has with Jesus. And you see that he's part of this inner circle. And so John's gospel is set apart from the others in the fact that he gives these accounts of Jesus, but when he gives these accounts of Jesus, he gives some minute details that kind of show us that, man, this guy, he really paid attention. He really paid attention when he was around Jesus. And so this is the guy that I want to go to find out more about Jesus. Because here's some of the little extra details that John gives in his book that some of the other 3 Gospels don't necessarily give, and the accounts of their stories. Some of the accounts of the stories here, one of the accounts of this story of the loaves, which the young boy brought to Jesus whenever they fed, you know, and so Jesus, they got this loaf of bread, and this young boy brings it to Jesus and multiplies it and feeds 5,000 people and all this. And John's account, he gives a minute detail that shows me that he was really paying attention at that. Because he not only does John mention that story, but he mentions the kind of bread that the boy sent to him. You know, he says that he brought loaves of barley. You know? And so that's one of the things that, man, you just see that John really did pay attention to detail here. Another thing is that we see John is the only disciple that we see at the cross, and then we also hear about this account that John gives of these soldiers that are gambling for Jesus' death robe, you know? These 4 soldiers, John says, are gambling for Jesus' clothes when he dies. John also knows the exact amount of weight that the myrrh and the aloe that was used to anoint the dead body of Jesus. John even goes into great detail and tells you how much it was. And so here's the thing about John, is you know, John kept up with the details. John was intimate. He knew Jesus. And so this is where I'm going to get my account, because John's account of Jesus isn't one that's based off of feelings, per se, as it is based off of his walk with him, the things he saw with him. John knew Jesus. And so what does he have to say about it? John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. It says, this is a weird way to begin a book. But he says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him. And without him, nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Now, okay, Eric, I thought we were talking about Jesus here. You see, I thought we were talking about Jesus, and I thought we were talking about who he is. Well, here's the first thing that John says about Jesus is, he says, Jesus was God. No, Eric, you get that wrong. You see, John says the Word, and the Word was God. Okay, well, jump down to verse 14. John says this, and the Word, which you speak of, became flesh and dwelt among us, and beheld his glory, and the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And so guess what? The Word was Jesus. Jesus was the Word. He was the one who became flesh. And so Jesus was God. Jesus is God, is what John is saying. The Word here John speaks about equals Jesus. You see, Jesus is God who became man to die in the place of us. a huge statement. That's a huge statement. That Jesus is God. In essence, here's why Jesus is called the Word, I think. Here's one of the reasons maybe why John calls Jesus the Word. Is because here's what it is. You know what? God's final word to us was Jesus, His Son. He was the final word to us. Jesus is exactly what God said to the world. And what God said to the world is this, is that I died on the cross for you, a bloody, horrific death. People hate me, but I love you. I love you so much. So you see, that's the final word of God, is I do love you. I do love you so much because I did send my only begotten Son to die for your sins and to fill in the place that you were meant to be in. You see, God's saying, my wrath, it was meant for you, sinner. But I loved you enough to provide you a way out. And that is Jesus. So that's the first verse there. The second verse is pretty clear as well, who Jesus is. It also says, Jesus was, he was in the beginning with God. So Jesus is eternal. He always has been. There's a sect of people who will say that Jesus was created, and he was an angel, and it's not true. He was in the beginning with God. And why is that so important to figure out who Jesus was? Yeah, big deal. He was there when God was there creating everything. Well, one, it shows me that Jesus is never changing. He is who He's always been. He will not change. He's eternal. It also shows me another thing about Jesus. He was really, really intimate with God, wasn't he? To be there in the beginning with God. And listen, I know a lot of you are going, wait a minute, I thought you said He was God. Now you're saying He was with God. And my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. And I'm telling you, I don't understand it, but I believe it. And so Jesus was there with God when He's creating the world. How much more intimate can somebody be with God? And don't you see, that's what Jesus represents. He was intimate with God. He's this one person in the universe who can reveal to us what God was really like. What God is really like. And He can also reveal to us what God really feels for us. Because He's so intimate with us. Verse 3. All things were made through Him, and without Him nothing was made that was made. So without Jesus, life would be impossible. It would be impossible. This world was created by God alone, and because He created it alone, He alone calls the shots. Period. He calls the shots. He's God. He's the potter. You're the clay. He's the potter. I'm the clay. He calls the shots. But Eric, I don't like some of the shots He calls. You're the potter, or you're the clay. He's the potter. Eric, I don't like some of the stuff He does. You're the clay. He's the potter. I can't put it any more clear than that. He is who He is. See, man is taking issue with this. This is one of the problems that men has, is that we've taken issue with this fact that we don't like some of the stuff God does. We don't like some of these laws that God has placed into effect. We don't like some of this stuff. And, you know, and so we get all this confusion and stuff. And I get that because, man, I struggle with some of that myself. And I try to read through the Bible and I try to discern what is real and what is not. And some of the stuff I just don't get. Now, some of the stuff I just don't understand yet. But here's the deal. I've come to the realization that I'm nothing but a lump of clay. And that He's the potter. And you know what? He is to allow a child of mine to die, or if He is to allow my wife to die, who am I to question Him? Oh, Eric, that don't make any sense. You're telling me. I know it don't make sense, but you know what? I know that God is God. I'm not. And I know that God works all things together for the good for those who trust Him. So that's all I can do. That's the one thing I do understand out of this, you know? Is that it's called for me to not understand Him, you know, so much as it is to trust Him. Because here's the deal. We're never going to understand Him. You and I will never fully understand God. You just won't. It won't happen. And some of us, man, that's going to be harder than others because some of us, we're going to have to really swallow some of our humility. We're going to have to really swallow some of our pride because we're people. I'm people. I'm a person who likes to know it all, you know. I want to know everything. I got to have an answer for everything. Everything needs an answer. And you know what? Truly, everything's answer is this. God. It's God's will. God did it. I don't know why God allows disasters. But I know this, that He allows them. Maybe it's to show for His glory. Well, Eric, that's not right. That's not fair. God shouldn't do something like that. He's God. Period. That's a scary thought to think about. But here's the thing. Without Jesus, life would be impossible. And some men have taken issue to this. It's verses 4 and 5. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness, guess what it says, did not comprehend it. It's one of the funny things I find out about so many people who say that they know who Jesus is, and who say that this is who Jesus is. How do they know that? What research have they done into that? Well, Eric, that's just the way I feel. I feel a lot of things. Sometimes I feel really angry, you know? And sometimes I feel so angry that I want to do something dumb. But that doesn't justify me doing something dumb, does it? We can't live our life based off of emotion so much. Emotion's there, and it's a good thing, and yes, we should use it, and yes, we need to. But when it comes to Jesus and figuring out who He is, let's not go based on what we feel about who He is. Let's go based on what it says He is. See, Jesus is the light and the life of the world. Now that's also going to be a lot through this book of John. The light and life. The light and life. It's seen all throughout this book of the Gospel of John. So let me ask you this, as I got to thinking about that, what does light do? Well, it gets rid of darkness, doesn't it? Imagine if these windows were shut and it's pitch black in here, and I just had a little bitty flashlight up here. I mean, it was pitch black. You couldn't see the hand. You've probably been in rooms like that where you can't see the hand in front of your face. And let's just say my little keychain light, I pull it out, and it would shine. And it would shine a lot in this room, wouldn't it? I mean, it would just almost brighten up the room enough to where you could see some stuff here. You would definitely be able to see me, and if I shine it back there, I could see, you know, you guys. Wouldn't be able to see you clearly, but I would be able to see you, you know. So here's the thing I figured out, is that light doesn't get covered up by darkness, does it? I mean, I can have as much darkness as I want, And it's still not going to cover up the light. But it's the other way around. The light, it takes just the littlest bitty part of light that shines up a room, a dark room. No matter how much darkness is in this room, you cannot cover up the light. And it's like that with the world, you see. So many of us Christians now, we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off with all this stuff that's going on, and we're saying, oh, no, we're going down, we're dying. They're making a mockery of my country. See, I don't hear too many Christians saying they're making a mockery of my God. It's more of, they're making a mockery of what I believe. I don't care. They can mock what I believe all day long. But don't dare make a mockery of my God. Don't mock my Jesus. You see, and that's what we have to remember, is that no matter how much darkness is in this world, it is not going to extinguish the light. The light Jesus brings, it reveals the darkest of hearts. William Barclay says this, says truth is hated because it's like light to sore eyes. I get that. Have you ever had your eyes just ever been so sore and you go out in the sun and it just hurts, you know, and you got to squint. That's the way the truth is sometimes. Is that the darkness, it hates it. You see, no matter how hard the darkness tries, it cannot extinguish the light. Those who sin, they love the darkness. And they hate the light that reveals their sin. The darkness can try all it wants, but it will never, ever get rid of the light. So take ease, Christian, okay? Take ease and know that, yes, we live in a high time right now where there are things that are happening that, you know what, they do make a mockery of our God. There are things that are happening that make a mockery of our Jesus. There are things that are happening like that, but I want to give you comfort and hope in knowing this, that the darkness will not extinguish the light. Jesus ain't going to be beat. Close with this C.S. Lewis quote out of Mere Christianity, and I may have used it before up here, but this is a great book. C.S. Lewis was a great author. Here's one of the quotes that he has in Mere Christianity. He says, I'm trying here to prevent anyone from saying the really foolish thing that people often say about him, being Jesus. And here's what they say. They say, I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I do not accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing that we must not say. A man who is merely a man and says the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on the level with a man who says he's a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman, or something worse. You could shut him up for a fool, you could spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you could fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let's not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He hasn't left that open to us, and he did not intend to. So, I implore you, quit accepting man's thoughts on who Jesus is. Quit accepting man's thoughts on who Jesus is. You want to know who he is? Let's go to the people who were closest to him. Let's go to the people who were there. Go to his word and find out who he is. Don't accept the view of Jesus based on a feeling. Accept the view of Jesus based on a fact. And I know, there are people who would say, Eric, I can't take that as a fact. to you, I'd say, I'm sorry, but it is. I don't have time to argue with you. Well, you're just trying to escape the question. No, I'm not. Because in my heart, I've accepted that. I don't know everything there is to know about God. He is so big, mighty, and powerful. That's where I'm at with him. I've also accepted the fact that, you know what, I'm just a lump of clay. He's the potter. He's going to do things that I don't get, and he's even going to do things, get this, that I don't like. And that I think are unfair. But I also know he's God.
Amen.
I'm not. So here's the thing. This morning, I don't know what your view of Jesus is. And I don't want anyone to ever say and accuse me of being hateful or judgmental or non-loving, because I tell you the truth of who Jesus is. You see, that is why I tell you the truth of who Jesus is because I'm the type of person that's going to be the total opposite of that. I'm not judgmental in the fact that I believe that Jesus is Christ as the Son of God. I'm not judgmental in that. In fact, what it is, it means that I love you. I love you enough to tell you the truth. If I didn't love you, then you could say all that stuff about me because I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care to tell you all of this. I wouldn't care what you did. I don't care. I wouldn't care if you thought Jesus was your homeboy or not. I don't, whatever. But because I know the truth and because I love God and because, listen, I believe every single word He has put in here and because I believe that, make no mistake about it, I'm not telling you, I'm judging that, you know what, you're going to hell if you don't accept Jesus Christ. That's not me judging you. That's me loving you.
Amen.
And I love you guys way too much to let anything go by and to ever let there ever be a thought that Jesus is just making a bunch of dumb mistakes. You know, I don't want to be like that. There's one thing I want you to know about me, and there's one thing that I want everyone that comes in contact with me to take away from is this, is that he loves Jesus. He loves God. And even the people that I come across that don't agree with me and don't have the same views as me, you know what? I want them to respect me because they know that, hey, he loves God, and you know what? That's up to him. He can do that all he wants. And you know what? I'm going to. I'm going to. Because I do love him. And I do know he is the only way. And I know that I need it. And I need him as bad, if not worse, than you need it. My life is filled with stuff that, man, I can't stand before a holy God the way I am. I have to stand before a holy God with the blood of Christ covering me. And when God looks at me, he doesn't see Eric Drake, the sinner. He sees his son, Jesus Christ. You see, that's the truth of it all. We can have different political views. We can have different views of things. But make no mistake about it, I will not have any other view of Jesus Christ than him being the Son of God and the only way to heaven. And the one who loves me, and the one who loves you so much, and he died on the cross like that for you and for me. That's it. That's all there is to it. God does some stuff that I don't get. I'm cool with that. Because he's God. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for this morning. Thank you so much for your love and your kindness. Oh, Jesus, please let people see the real you. Reveal yourself to people in such a way that they will quit basing their opinion of you off of how the people feel about you, but they will go to your word that you have given us, God. And that we will research it out, and that we will determine who you are through your word. God, there's a lot of stuff in your word that we don't get. And God, it's really, really neat. Whenever I read through it, and for years I haven't got something, and then you reveal it to me, God, it's so awesome. It's an awesome feeling. But God, I also realize that there's going to be many, many years that I'm going to read through your book, and that I will never completely understand your ways, because you've told me I will not understand your ways. God, I realize that I'm a lump of clay, and you're the one making me. God, help me to not question you, even when it hurts. God, you know me. You know me inside and out. God, you know my feelings toward you. God, watch over our church. Watch over our church as they go about the world. They won't just base their opinion off of what man says. They won't just base their opinion off of you based on what they feel, God. But God, I pray that they will study you. And that they will pray to you. And that they will get to know you, God. God, if there's one person in here this morning who doesn't know you, please show yourself to them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.